The CPD announces use of a new gadget, what every police officer will have now.
Columbia's 2015 budget proposal will be announced later today.
International music finds its way to Columbia for the weekend. Good morning. Today is Friday, July 25th, 2014. Thanks so much for waking up with us. I'm Megan Judy.
And I'm Melissa Casares.
I'm Eric Aldrich. Forgot to pay the electric bill over here this morning.
Come to the light.
You know,
maybe
the lights will come on eventually.
Here it comes.
Hopefully. Anyway,
nope.
we can talk about the weather. This morning, temperatures are back into the lower and middle 60s this morning. At 62 over at Moberly, 66 over at Boonville, Columbia at 63, at 58 over at Herman, Rallis at 64. It actually feels very comfortable out around the area here this morning. That will change quickly, though, as a warm front starts to work on into the area. A lot of us are going to start to watch for a rapid rise in temperature here this morning. We'll be at 85 at noon. Look for a high to top out today at 90, all with lots of open sky and lots of sunshine. The humidity returns in a big way. We'll talk more about that and also have a look at the weather for the weekend. That's coming up in just a little bit. Ladies, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. The 5th Annual Mizzou International Composer Festival hits full stride today.
For the rest of the week, Columbia is a hub of international music collaboration. The Composer-centered event invites 8 distinguished and emerging composers to town. KOMU8's Creighton Hayes joins us live from the Missouri Theater with how the festival showcases these composers.
The festival is an outreach program of the Mizzou New Music Initiative. Now, if you're not sure what new music is, I spoke with a composer yesterday who defines new music as music written by a still living artist. I spent the evening last night listening to an alarm will sound. The group performs the pieces written by the 8 selected composers. Those 8 were chosen from a pool of 217, each of whom submitted 3 scores of music. The managing director of the festival says this event is so special because the weekend performances are the first time anyone will have heard these works performed.
We don't know what's going to happen with these. I mean, imagine like sitting somewhere and hearing a work for the very first time, and maybe 100 years from now, that's like one of the most amazing works that have emerged out of history.
All 8 pieces, they're just so different. They're so varied, and I think it's just awesome to be part of such an eclectic program.
This festival not only allows the composers and performers to showcase their talents, but it also gives them a chance to touch a tangible object as the producers record both a video and audio soundtrack for the producers. You can see these performances by visiting newmusicsummerfestivals.missouri.edu. Reporting live in Columbia, Creighton Hayes, KOMU8 News.
City Manager Mike Mathis will hold a news conference this morning to announce his budget proposal for the 2015 fiscal year. The city will broadcast the news conference on local cable providers, including Mediacom, Charter Communications, and CenturyLink. The meeting will take place at City Hall this morning, and it starts at 9 a.m. Budget documents will also be available on the city's website after 10 a.m. We'll have a live report coming up in about 10 minutes.
Columbia police have a new set of eyes in the field. It's the first department in the state to try it. Every officer will have lapel-attached cameras when on patrol. The cameras aren't new in Columbia. Officers have tested different models for the past 3 years. The camera is always buffering, so when the officer presses record, it captures the previous 30 seconds. Officers say the camera is beneficial in training and will help officer accountability to resolve complaints. Use of the cameras was announced yesterday afternoon.
Just came out with a new policy. It kind of falls in line with our old policy with audio recording. Any contact we make, whether positive, negative, anytime we're talking to a citizen, we have it on.
Police purchased 102 cameras at a cost of about $150,000. 2012 surplus money was used to pay for the new gear.
Asphalt will be laid on St. Charles Road in Boone County starting today, reducing the road to 1 lane of traffic. Weather permitting, the asphalt will be laid from Route Z East to the Callaway County line. Construction will start at 7 a.m. today and last until about 7 p.m. Parking is not allowed during the process, and the project is expected to wrap up next Friday.
Official voting machines will take place in Jefferson City today, just ahead of next month's primary election. The test will check if the machines can count ballots. It will be done on 70 voting machines. Testing begins this morning at 9. The primary election is August 5th.
The annual Battle of the Badges blood drive will kick off in Macon this afternoon. The Macon Fire and Police Department, as well as the American Red Cross, are asking for donations. The city says the blood drive comes at a time of the year when donations normally go down. You can call the Red Cross or go to its website to get more information or set up an appointment to donate blood. The blood drive lasts from 1 to 6 p.m. at the Comfort Inn on Missouri Street.
We now know what caused a head-on collision near the Boone County Fairgrounds Wednesday night. Columbia police say a woman drove the wrong way on Highway 63. This is the damage that sent a father and his 7-year-old son to the hospital. Officers say they could smell alcohol on driver Christine Morsh's breath. She tested above the .08 legal limit.
A wellness center in Pennsylvania was evacuated. Find out what led to the death of one hospital employee.
Columbia's budget proposal for next year is set to come out today. Find out what big projects will receive funding after the break.
You're taking a live look out over Columbia at 4:35. Nope, 4:36. We'll be right back.
Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather.
Well, good morning, everyone. 4:38 is our time here this morning, and it's going to be a fairly calm and quiet start to our day. Rather comfortable, honestly, here for a lot of us this morning as we continue to kind of hang out into the lower and middle 60s this morning. It's not really all that bad when you consider where we're going later today and also for a good part of the upcoming weekend, with a good opportunity here to get back into the middle 90s for high temperatures tomorrow. This morning, again, it's going to be relatively pleasant. We do have a little extra cloud cover that continues to roll on in here this morning, thanks in part to a large area of rain across parts of Iowa. Don't really think that rain is going to move on in here. It could, and we could get a very brief spot shower here. Precipcast kind of shows that. If that were to happen, it would be back and across north central Missouri, so right around the Macon area, maybe around the Mark Twain Lake area. Otherwise, I think we're going to continue to see the sunshine increase around here as we head on into a good part of our late morning and early afternoon as a little warm front slides this way. We're dry and quiet throughout the evening and overnight, and heading on into a good part of our Saturday. We're going to be dry and quiet. Again, maybe a few spotty clouds and some late day scattered showers and a few thunderstorms, but I think a good part of tomorrow is going to be dry. You can see where the warm front is this morning. It's back in across western Missouri because pretty much the entire state is going to be fairly comfortable this morning. We're back into the 50s and 60s. 71 over in Kansas City, though, and then quickly across Kansas, temperatures are back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. And so that warmer air is going to continue to work its way on in here. So while it is very pleasant and very comfy out there this morning, the humidity really starts to increase and temperatures really start to increase by late morning and early afternoon. Officially, skies are going to be partly cloudy to mostly clear, just depending on where you are. 63 degrees, the wind southeast at 9. Air pressure, it's a little bit lower than what it was yesterday, but it's holding steady at 29.97. Elsewhere around the lower 48, another calm and quiet morning with the exception of a few little areas of some showers and a few strong thunderstorms across parts of the upper Midwest from Minneapolis back on into the Quad Cities here this morning. And all of that will continue to kind of drift off to the east and southeast, kind of moving along this little warm front that by later today will be well off to our east. That allows for a lot of humidity. Yeah, okay, to move right back on in here. So it's going to be kind of like a steam bath here today and also for tomorrow. However, by late tomorrow, there's a little cold front that's going to start to work back on into parts of the upper Midwest. That will slide this way late tomorrow night and early on Sunday, and that will draw in some slightly cooler air and drier air as well. But for today and also for tomorrow, temperatures are going to be back into the 90s. Triple-digit heat will return to parts of the plains. In fact, by tomorrow afternoon, about 1:30, 2 o'clock, we'll have the heat index right around 100. So it's going to be a very steamy weekend, at least for Saturday. Sunday's weather will start to improve here just a little bit. Again, rather comfy this morning. We'll be at 85 at noon, though, and then 90 for the high. Your heat index right around 95 later today. Overnight, partly cloudy, down to 72 for the overnight low, and hot and humid for Saturday. Late day showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder. Otherwise, a little bit cooler, just a little bit for Sunday. More so on Monday with the high at 78, and pretty much every day next week looks like a walk in the park. A nice week, really. Highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s with lows at night in the lower 60s. So again, it feels rather comfortable this morning.
Right.
But I can almost promise you this, that by noon it's going to be more humid and certainly very hot, and that's going to continue all afternoon.
Okay. Well, yesterday ended up very beautiful.
Gorgeous. It was gorgeous yesterday.
So Today, we take, it's Friday, so it cancels out any,
Right.
uncomfort.
If it was Monday, it'd be like, the worst day ever.
Just don't come outside.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Columbia's 2015 budget proposal is set to come out today.
A couple projects have a pretty high price tag. KOMU8's Jacob Jones tells us more about what to expect in next year's budget. Jacob.
Later on this morning, Columbia City Manager Mike Mathis will release the proposed budget for fiscal year 2015. We're expecting to see some big ticket items on the budget for next year, including downtown sewer maintenance. Those efforts will get around $1.4 million. Just over $400,000 is being set aside to start designs to reconstruct the Columbia Regional Airport runway. That entire project will cost around $3.4 million. Just about $500,000 will be set aside to put in a new sidewalk on the east side of Manor Drive, where I'm standing now. That money will also go towards improving 26 driveways along the street to meet ADA requirements. Also, about 6 trees will have to be removed, including the shrubbery behind me. Reporting live in Columbia, Jacob Jones, KOMU8 News.
A gunman opened fire at a wellness center in Pennsylvania, killing a hospital employee and injuring a doctor. Officials say the gunman entered a psychiatric unit of the Sister Marie Lenahan Wellness Center in Darby, Pennsylvania yesterday afternoon. The building was quickly evacuated and placed on lockdown. SWAT team personnel moved in to secure the area. Police say the suspect, Richard Plotz, is in custody with a gunshot wound and is in critical condition. Officials say Plotz was a psychiatric patient at the wellness center. A warrant has been issued for a North Carolina man who refuses treatment for one disease. 25-year-old Eduardo Cruz was diagnosed with tuberculosis yesterday and is now refusing treatment. He reportedly walked out of the health clinic. Cruz's condition may be contagious, which prompted officials to file the warrant. By law, health officials can't force a patient to be treated for tuberculosis, but officials can use the court to isolate him from the public.
Recent terrorism threats in Norway call for heightened security. Information has been uncovered that an extremist Syrian group may be planning to carry out a major terrorist act. Public places like airports and train stations have armed security patrolling inside and outside terminals. Borders around the country are also being closely monitored. In addition to more security across Norway, government buildings were closed. Passcodes and tricky patterns seem to be the key to keeping your smartphone private.
There's a new way to unlock your phone, though that may be sort of out of the normal. When we come back, we'll take a look at the new way to keep anyone from breaking in.
Prisoners get rewarded for good behavior. Find out how some Texas prisoners' behavior allows them to get some fresh air.
4:48 is your time here on a Friday morning. If you're traveling today, the weather will cooperate. There's just not a lot of weather activity except for maybe a little bit of shower and thunder shower activity we have across parts of Iowa and parts of the upper Midwest here this morning. Otherwise, just a very dry and quiet start to our day. In fact, very pleasant out around a good chunk of the nation's midsection. That'll change, though, as a warm front quickly moves on through, and that's going to really turn up the heat and humidity, especially as we move on into the late morning. A little bit of shower and thunder shower activity approaching the Chicago area. That could cause maybe a little bit of a slowdown here later this morning into the early afternoon. Otherwise, from St. Louis through Columbia, it's dry and quiet and a few little passing clouds. Those will generally be high levels, kind of scattered cirrus clouds, but nonetheless, I think that we'll start to see a little bit more in the way of open sky and sunshine once we get on into our late morning and early afternoon. Rather toasty, though, today. Mostly sunny weather returns. Look for a high to top out today right around 90. And elsewhere, again, you can kind of see where temperatures will be warmer and maybe a little bit cooler over into the Chicago area. Temperatures are very pleasant here this morning, but we heat up during the afternoon. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a little bit.
Shares of Amazon dove 10% in extended trading yesterday. While sales rose 23%, the company recorded a quarterly loss of $126 million. Amazon lost $7 million during the same quarter last year. A big source of the loss was spending on new products and services, including Sunday delivery, the Fire TV media streaming device, and Amazon's first smartphone, the Fire Phone. The company also recently announced an unlimited ebook subscription service for $9.99 per month. The CEO of Walmart's U.S. division is stepping down. The nation's largest retailer said that Bill Simon is leaving the company. Simon has been CEO since June of 2010. He will be replaced by the president and CEO of Walmart Asia. The U.S. unit of Walmart has had slowest sales rates in almost 5 years. Walmart said that Simon will leave his post in a couple of weeks. Kids are not that excited. Summer's reaching its end.
Felt like it went really quick, but retail experts say it can pay off big for you, especially if you start school supply shopping this weekend. NBC's Chris Clackham took a deeper look inside the stores.
Back-to-school shopping is a $72 billion industry, which is why some stores got an early jump on sales this summer. But after this weekend, it's no longer considered early.
This is really the weekend. You know, the crowds are going to start to gather in August. The deals are going to change.
However, a downward change in the economy is behind a National Retail Federation finding that 1 in 5 families actually plans to spend less this year, which explains why competition among retailers has already heated up.
Really deep discounts on wardrobe basics. So blue jeans, socks, underwear, sneakers. These types of items are being heavily discounted.
Dan DeClerico at Consumer Reports just wrote about back-to-school sales this summer and came up with a lot to like, especially for college students.
Target and Walmart, for example, both have huge, very targeted campaigns. So we're seeing some fantastic deals on small appliances, things like personal blenders, pod coffee makers, things that are very popular with college students.
He says prices on electronics have also been slashed 30 to 50% to include computers, tablets, and cell phones, and adds that consumers in these 16 states will really have an opportunity to save starting mostly next weekend because of sales tax holidays. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
All right, this is wild. Your smartphone could be unlocked with something other than a passcode. It could be unlocked with a tattoo. Motorola says users of its Moto X smartphone can unlock their phone with a digital tattoo. The tattoo is about the size of a nickel and are adhesive patches. When your phone and the patch come in contact, your phone is unlocked. The patches are waterproof, last an average of 5 days, cost $1 a piece, and only work with Motorola's Moto X phone. Wow. If you've noticed your mail arriving a little later in the day, you're not alone. The U.S. Postal Service says the shrinking workforce means letter carriers are forced to work longer hours and into the evening. The post office also blames weather, traffic issues, and seasonal fluctuations in mail volume for deliveries after 5 p.m. Last year, mail was delivered late 38% of the time compared to 25% in 2011. McDonald's has suspended sales of chicken nuggets and other items in Hong Kong over a food scare. A statement from McDonald's says products had been imported to Hong Kong from Shanghai Food Branch between July of last year and June of this year. The food branch, owned by Illinois-based OSI Group, had been selling expired chicken and beef.
Jail trustees, they're inmates who have proven they're trustworthy enough to go out into the community.
They do things like mow the grass, pick up the trash, but in Texas, trustees are helping put food on local residents' dinner tables. NBC's Mitchell Dixon has the story on how the jail trustees are getting out of jail.
Let me get one or two.
Picking produce in this garden is a hot job, but these Montague County jail trustees are glad to do it.
Better than being in the AC locked up. This is our chance to get out here and do something good.
Well, the best part's just being outside, you know, not being locked down all the time. And there really ain't no worst part of being out here. I enjoy it all.
From caterpillars to grasshoppers, but trustees say they've encountered more frightening things in this garden.
We've killed a few copperheads out here. 3, I think.
Sheriff Paul Cunningham says trustees do get perks for their hard work.
They get a little bit extra meals. They do get 2 for 1 days on their sentence.
But the sheriff says the biggest benefit is to clients of Christ Canned Food Bank in downtown Montague.
When I tell them there's vegetables on the porch, they get them some on the way out. They're glad to get them. They really are.
And recipients like Peggy Sue Kramer are glad for the trustees.
Just give them something to do, productive, and they're helping people out.
Help that began several months ago.
The Inmate Garden program started in the spring, and it's been so successful that there are plans to expand it.
Sheriff Cunningham is working on expanding this quarter-acre garden to cover an entire acre, which he says would provide even more fresh produce for Montague residents.
Music is in the air in downtown Columbia this weekend with never-before-heard sounds from around the world. I'll have the details after the break.
A live look over Jefferson City at 4:55. We'll be right back.